Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez toured a Customs and Border Patrol facility, and her reporting from what's happening in there is just disgusting. So, look, I hate covering these stories because they are so depressing, but I have to cover this. People need to know what is going on inside of these border facilities. So, first off here, AOC tweets out, "Now I've seen inside the facilities. It's not just the kids, it's everyone. People drinking out of toilets. Officers laughing in front of members of Congress. I brought it up to their superiors. They said, quote, officers are under stress and act out sometimes, end quote. No accountability. Drinking from toilets. This is going on in front of members of Congress. People are being treated like garbage. That's what's going on here. I mean, look, there's so much more I'm going to get to here, but ask yourself, if you're really having trouble understanding this, ask yourself, who's going to be on the right side of history? Looking back at this going on, who do you think will be on the right side of history? The Border Patrol agents telling people to drink out of toilets, or the people trying to fight back against that? This is not hard. Now, I'm going to show this video from California Congresswoman Judy Chu. She was also touring these facilities and discussed what she saw.
We just left the El Paso Border Patrol station and now we're going to the Clint Border Patrol station. But what we saw was appalling and disgusting. We talked to a group of women, detainees, who said that they didn't have running water, that one was an epileptic and she couldn't get her medication. They were separated from their children. They'd been there over 50 days. One woman said that the Border Patrol agent told her to if she wanted water, just to drink from a toilet. And we also were there just as a CBP Facebook group posted that they wanted to throw burritos at the Congress members and then had a very derogatory image of one of our Congress members, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. If they have these kind of derogatory feelings about us, you can only imagine what they're thinking about these detainees. These are the ones who are in charge of them. Well, there seriously has to be some change.
Okay, so just working off what Congresswoman Chu said there at the end of the video, where she brought up how there's a Facebook group of border control agents where, let me just show you the headline here. So this reporting was from ProPublica, came out the same day that they're touring these facilities. Inside the secret Border Patrol Facebook group where agents joke about migrant deaths and post sexist memes. The 3-year-old group, which has roughly 9,500 members, shared derogatory comments about Latina lawmakers who plan to visit a controversial Texas detention facility on Monday, calling them scumbuckets and hoes. Now, there's a lot more to this. I'm not going to go into it, but I'll have a link to that article below the video, and you'll be disgusted. That's all I'm going to say. Now, this group has 9,500 members, which is half of how many border agents there are in the country. So in total, there's about 20,000 border agents across the U.S. This Facebook group has half of those members. Half of the people that are border agents are in this Facebook group, engaged in these kinds of conversations. Now, more from AOC's experience here in these facilities. After I forced myself into a cell with a woman and began speaking to them, one of them described their treatment at the hands of officers as psychological warfare, waking them at odd hours for no reason, calling them whores, etc. Tell me what about this is due to lack of funding. So again, I mean, going off the fact that migrants are being told to drink out of toilets, obviously there is going to be more psychological warfare on top of that. So whether it's waking them up at odd hours or calling them whores, I mean, there is absolutely a lot more going on in these facilities than even these tweets are aware of, or that AOC is aware of. Now, the lack of the funding comment is actually referring to the House passing a Senate bill that does not deal with the injustice that is actually going on in these facilities. So AOC was on CNN a few days ago discussing this.
We passed a House version of this bill which had far more humanitarian provisions and accountability for the facilities that are abusing kids at our border. And Mitch McConnell immediately smacked it down in order to pass and ram through a Senate bill that has an enormous amount of funding for military, as well as no guardrails and no accountability for facilities that are abusing our kids. So that's the bill that's in front of us here in front of the House. However, we didn't even bother to negotiate. There are House amendments. We could have negotiated it in. We could have conferenced. We could have tried to get amendments in, to get humanitarian provisions put in, to get consequences for facilities that abuse kids in. And instead what we're doing is that we're immediately going to just saying yes to what got passed out of the Senate.
So as usual, Democratic leaders have no spine. So oftentimes when I, criticize the Democratic Party, it's because they aren't fighting for progressive policies like Medicare for all, for example. But this isn't even that. This is just the bare minimum. This is just being human. Fighting for toothpaste and soap for children. Fighting so that there's accountability at the facilities that are mistreating people. This isn't hard stuff, and they aren't even willing to do that. So, one more tweet here from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, "Now I'm on my way to Clint, where the Trump admin was denying children toothpaste and soap. This has been horrifying so far. It is hard to understate the enormity of the problem. We're talking systemic cruelty with a dehumanizing culture that treats them like animals." I ask you again, who do you think will be on the right side of history?